All right, let's get into this. If you're a developer, you absolutely know this feeling. You pour weeks, maybe even months into building an app. On your big, powerful computer, it just flies. It's beautiful. But then you put it on a phone, and suddenly it feels like it's wading through thick mud. It's just slow, it's sluggish, and it is one of the most maddening problems in software today. So what do? Well, what if the answer wasn't just to write better code, optimize within the lines? What if the real solution was to just break the rules? That's the core question we're going to dig into. It's a story about why sometimes the unconventional, the rebellious one, is the only one that gets you to an exceptional result. But first, we have to understand the enemy. And in mobile development, the enemy is always the clock. Every single developer is in this constant, relentless battle against time. It's a pressure that shapes the entire user experience. Let's call it the tyranny of the clock. And this number? This is the brutal, unforgiving math behind it all. If you want that silky smooth 60 frames per second experience that everyone expects, every single thing your app does, every calculation, every screen update has to be done in less than 16.67 milliseconds. That is literally faster than you can blink. It's an insane target to hit over and over and over again. So how in the world does an app even try to manage this? Well, it all comes down to one very special process called the main UI thread. The best way to think about it is like this. Your app is a restaurant, and the main thread is your one and only waiter. This waiter does everything the customer sees. But what happens if that waiter gets stuck on a huge, heavy task? Like imagine someone asks them to peel a giant. Now, to avoid that kind of chaos, developers usually follow a set of rules, a standard toolkit. In the world we're looking at, that toolkit is called FireMonkey, or FMX for short. It's the conventional, accepted way of building things. And look, it's not that it's bad, but the way it works, well, it has some serious limitations that are at the heart of this whole problem. The perfect analogy for how FireMonkey works is a set of those Russian nesting dolls. It's a composable architecture. So to get to that tiny little doll in the very center, you have to open every single doll outside of it one by one. On a really complex screen, you're not opening 5 dolls. You might be opening hundreds. And each layer you unwrap adds a tiny, almost invisible delay. But those delays add up. It's like performance death by 1,000 cuts. And before you know it, you've completely blown past that 16.67 millisecond budget. Okay, so if the correct way, the conventional path, leads to a performance dead end, what's the alternative? And this is where the hero of our story comes in. It's a library called Alcinoe. But honestly, it's way more than just a tool. It's a whole different way of thinking. You could almost call it a radical manifesto for performance. And this right here is its beating heart, its core principle: pragmatism above dogma. It's a philosophy that basically says, I don't care what theory says is the right way to do things. The only thing that matters is what actually works, what's provably faster in the real world. And this just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have dogma, which says, follow the rules, use the modern tools the way you're told to. But on the other side, you have pragmatism. It says, measure everything. And if some old, forgotten piece of tech from 20 years ago is faster for this one specific job, then you use the old tech. It's that simple. Your gut feeling can be wrong, but the stopwatch doesn't lie. This whole philosophy leads to some really fascinating tactics, things the source material calls profitable heresies. These are ideas that totally defy conventional wisdom, but they deliver absolutely insane performance gains. Let's look at a couple. We're going to start with a task that should be lightning fast. I mean, it's the most basic building block of any app, just drawing a single, simple rectangle on the screen. How hard could that be, right? Well, using the standard conventional FMX tools, that one simple operation can take up to 3 milliseconds. Now remember, our total budget for everything is just 16.67. So that one little box just ate a massive chunk of our time. Now, look at the Alcinoe approach. 0.1 milliseconds. The difference is it's staggering. Let's just put that as a single number. That's a 30 times improvement. This isn't just a little optimization. This is like changing the fundamental laws of physics for your application. It literally means you can do 30 times more work in the exact same amount of time. And this isn't some one-trick pony either. This philosophy goes all the way down. Alcinoe will literally patch the programming language's own source code if that's where the bottleneck is. It breaks long-standing conventions to get rid of slow data conversions. It even steals high-speed rendering techniques from video game development just to make a simple list scroll smoothly. This is a full-on strategy of radical pragmatic optimization. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this is cool, but it sounds a little extreme. Is all this really necessary? Well, as it turns out, a brand new mandate from Google is about to make this whole rebellious philosophy more important than ever. Let's talk about the future, Android 15, and what's being called the 16 kilobyte challenge. The new rule is pretty simple, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. See, to improve performance on new phones with tons of RAM, Google is changing how memory is organized at a very fundamental level. And your app, it has to be compatible. This isn't an option. It's a matter of survival on the Google Play Store. Okay, so what does that actually mean in plain English? The source material has a perfect analogy for this. For decades, your app's memory has been like a warehouse that only uses small 4 kilobyte boxes. All your tools, all your machinery is built for that specific size. Now, Google has just announced that from now on, all the new boxes coming into the warehouse are going to be 4 times bigger. If your old forklift, your app, isn't upgraded to handle that new larger size, it just won't be able to lift the boxes. It'll just stop working. And this isn't some far-off, we'll deal with it later kind of problem. The deadlines are real, and they are coming up fast. By November 2025, any new apps or app updates have to be compatible. And by May 2026, if your existing app isn't compliant, Google Play will simply block you from publishing any more updates. End of story.
So the takeaway here is, well, it's pretty much inescapable. This new rule from Google is proof that the old ways of just hoping for the best on performance are over. The kind of deep, pragmatic, and yes, sometimes radical optimization that we've been talking about, that's not a luxury anymore. It's the price of admission to the modern mobile world. Which brings us right back to where we started, to the core idea of this whole explainer. It's just a powerful reminder that the most traveled path isn't always the best one. Sometimes, if you want a truly exceptional result, you have to be willing to challenge the status quo and take that unconventional route. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own projects. The tools and the philosophies you rely on every day, are they just helping you tread water and stay afloat? Or are they giving you a real, measurable advantage to actually lead the game? Because the answer to that question might just define your success from here on out.